California has allowed thousands and thousands of these social assistance and so-called health care providers pop up in California, haven't they?
Yes.
And some of those providers steal the money, don't they?
Yes, we know that to be true. Yes.
And the money never gets to the people they supposedly are trying to help. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the other way that California and others abuse the fact that they're putting up $1 and the American taxpayers putting up $9. Did I mention it was $9?
I think some say it's even more, but yeah. 9 work.
They expand the services, don't they?
Yes.
Because some states, like California, I don't want to paint with too broad a brush. It's not everybody in California state government, but it's a lot of them. They see this as free money, don't they?
They're not paying for it, yes.
Isn't it a fact that, for example, Medicaid in California will pay a provider to provide tribal prayers? I looked all this up.
I mean, I'll accept that. I didn't know that, but yes.
That California will actually pay a health care provider, I didn't know this was a medical expertise, to pay for exorcisms. Is that right?
I'll accept that, Senator, but that's.
They pay, the California Medicaid program will pay for herbal medicines.
Too poor to be sick. I suppose the more money you have, the more these doctors come around. Thinking a lot about Doctor Who. It's just the science fantasy, science fiction. Oh, going around the world helping people. Well, the first Doctor Who, I believe, was in 1950s. And now is post-Armageddon in England. The trauma. See, our medical system is an outgrowth of ever-increasing destructive wars. He wants money. See, Kennedy, is that their real name, or just a name that sounds like it fits in? I feel like I have a team of like 20 doctors, specialists. Got a specialist for the arm, specialist for the legs, specialist for the eyes, specialist for hearing, specialist for dental, specialist for everything. Money, want money, and free flights around the world. See, that's the thing. As soon as I started rising up, boom. All I'm looking for is my brothers. It's all we have in the world. Could do book reviews, movie reviews. And yet what I'm watching now, oh, they want California money. They want to move to California free. See, why won't California pay for their relocation? Is when you have nothing but them. It's almost like a Chuck Schumer.
It's stolen.
Yeah.
Yes, Senator, and that's why.
Yep, you give them investment money. It's not actually stealing.
And
you gave it to them.
The country prosecute fraud every day, so it's not as if we didn't have the work out there, but it's so systematically taking money from the American taxpayer that we very much believe that it needs its own stand-up structure, and I think it's true for the reasons that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
If you need an exorcism,
we printed the money. It's ours to take back.
Thank you, Chairman.
Did they really?
Member Van Hollen. Thank you, Acting Attorney General Blanche, for appearing before us today. I want to talk about some areas where I think we're making progress and we can work together, and then raise some real concerns I have. I do think it's worth recognizing the hard work of the men and women of the department and the
I recognize Swow. Hey, Swow!
Violent crime. I've long been involved in criminal justice reform, talked with and worked with your predecessor in this. I was pleased to see the President's message during Second Chance Month where he said he wants to ensure those who take responsibility and seek to rebuild their lives have a chance to succeed. Senator Lee and I have a bill called the Safer
Yeah, what was that? What was the
Supervision Act.
wisest words I
It's
heard?
co-sponsored by
If
Senators
you're
Tillis,
45 years old and
Kramer,
still
and
out here,
Langford. It's got strong law enforcement and conservative support, and it fits squarely in that framework. Currently, federal supervision is imposed in nearly every case, leading to badly overworked federal probation officers who then can't properly supervise those who actually most need it. There's more than 120,000 people on average per year being supervised, and this bill would
we only have
help ensure
120,000
courts are
workers.
more thoughtful, more analytic. When
So they're talking about
deciding
they're
when to
supervising
impose
the
supervision.
workers.
Is
The
this
workers
a
be
piece
more
of legislation
productive.
you can support?
So what you just said, I very much agree with. So without looking at every word of the legislation, there's no disagreement from me on a word you just uttered.
Well, thank you. I'd like to work with you on that.
Yes, I look forward to that.
Let me raise two questions. I've been gravely concerned about IP theft, especially from China, the whole time I've served. I was struck that the department's
IP theft. Do you mean intellectual property rights or the internet protocol? My original title was "They Love Watching Us Fight." I got an amazing text from my brother yesterday. Oh, he keeps see he's my supervisor. Yeah, the little bro, big bro, from 1984. There's big brother, and then there's little brother, but he's little bro. Who supervises big bro? It's the little bros. Two sets of three boys. I see how close we are. Except it's that floating middle one. Does the middle one ally with the older brother or the younger brother? Well, in my case, he's out of the game. So just two brothers. I went for a walk the other day, long walk. In fact, a walk so long, it's like I was crossing state borders. Oh, to put borders up everywhere. Separate family. Make sure they get wiped out, their memories are wiped out. Look at Chrome Dome. Chrome Dome just waiting for a... What I heard is every senator thinks they're going to be president. Every senator is a president. For every president's a king. It's a legacy of aristocracy in Europe. They originally started as chieftains of their own family. I was watching a morning news. Two very shaky guys looked like they had one developing Parkinson. Just the shakes. See, why I realize is everything I do is wrong. I took a car ride once with a Bob, and Bob had a tirade, and it was an amazing, life-changing tirade. That's how much they hate us. Anything we do, they do the opposite and call it cool. It's a legacy of wars and returning veterans. I've been very rude lately to everyone. Saw my old partner. Hey, Adam, I still have our customer service evals. See, Adam is a hothead. So I just give a little hothead back. And yet, I'm starting to see. There's a movie of my generation called Back to the Future. And Marty goes back and he's talking to Doc Brown. He's like, "Who's the president?" Ronald Reagan. He said, "The actor?" Because that was a thing. An actor as a president. Actors have taken over the government. Dan Carlin on his Hardcore History said in Rome, they had a death sentence for an actor to be caught pretending to be a citizen. They just want more fun money.
You just mentioned applies for compensation. Is anybody in this country can apply?
Well, we'll be watching this very closely as this goes forward. I don't think the settlement fund should be set up this way or for these purposes. I appreciate
Settlement
your answers
fund?
today. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you.
Thank
The
you, Mr. Chairman.
settlement fund.
Attorney General, thank you for being
Somebody
here
sued
this
the
morning and
government?
responding to our questions. I want to follow on a couple that have been asked with regards to the Department of Justice's state and local law enforcement programs. $1.2 billion in proposed cuts. We're looking at it very carefully because many of these grants and programs have significant impact on our state. Small population, large area to deal with.
Talking about
The budget
Vermont.
also calls for consolidation of the Office of Violence Against Women, the Community-Oriented Policing Services, and the OJP programs.
Other
Is
judicial
the Office
punishment.
of Tribal Justice one of the offices that are also intended to be consolidated?
No, we're just consolidating the grant component, so OJP, COPS, and then OVID. And by the way, we're not combining them. We're just making them more efficient. So
Look
they
at
would
look at
still
all these free
maintain
range.
their
Look at all
own
these free range people.
independence and brand, for
Look at all
lack of
these
a better
free
word.
range
But what
people. We need
heard
them to be more
from
productive. We need to get them in
the field
factories.
is that there were inappropriate inconsistencies and inefficiencies in having three separate kind of bureaucracies running each of those programs. So that's what we're trying
Don't
to fix.
disagree with wanting to reduce bureaucracies. My interest is making sure
Mm-hmm.
that the fidelity of these grants and the availability
Fidelity.
to very rural,
Like faithfulness.
and oftentimes just very high cost
Fidelity.
because of what we're dealing with out there, that they do not get overlooked, because when you have cuts to the level that you're proposing, one has to assume that, okay, you can talk about reducing the bureaucracy and just what the program itself might look like. But again, my interest is making sure that this much needed assistance is still pushed down to the very, very local levels.
Senator, I assure you that
The local
that
levels
rural
that voted
communities,
no.
and I appreciate that they have the most
The
challenges
local levels that
applying for
voted
grants
no.
because of just the way they're structured.
Lack of capacity.
Of course, and there's obviously, I forget the exact percentage, but a large percentage of our grants do go to rural communities, as they should, and rural police departments, as they should.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to continue to do that. I mean, the COPS office is required to distribute half of the grants to rural communities.
Right.
But just, and I don't want to take up all your time, Senator, but that's one of the reasons why we're trying to make it more efficient, because the field
grants.
says,
Like
it's
Ulysses
especially
says,
rural
grant.
communities. Big cities don't have issues applying for grants. They have a bunch of people that can do it. And so, yes, we are very focused on that in tribal justice space, but also in the grant space.
Well, know that we're watching this one very carefully. I understand that in response to Senator Collins, you acknowledged 25%.
See, they use this
cut
persona
the
to
Office
push things.
on Violence
And they have another
Against
persona
Women.
that condemns people.
I was very involved in that reauthorization, and within that, we provide that OVW may not be subsumed by another grant-making component within DOJ. So we want to make sure that, again, DOJ is going to maintain OVW's statutory responsibilities and how they move forward with their grant-making, and not losing out on that subject.
We will,
matter
and we're
expertise.
aware of that. Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask about the Not Invisible Act. This was legislation that I introduced some years ago. It
The
became
Not
law.
Invisible Act.
May 5th is the day that we recognize as Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons Awareness Day. We had a big a roundtable that Senator Sullivan held.
Oh, is that
organize,
Elizabeth Warren?
Just a couple weeks ago, I had a lot of the folks from your
Murdered and
department,
Indigenous.
along with Alaska state and local as well as tribal. One of the things that kept coming up was the commission issued its final report. I thought it was pretty substantive. They issued it November 1 of 2023 after great testimony and consultation all across Indian country. But then it was removed, the report was
Queen of
removed,
Indian country.
very early on in the second Trump administration, and the related materials have been removed from DOJ and the Department of Interior websites. So people keep asking me, where'd it go?
So DOJ
why,
is working
what
with the Department of Interior.
happening?
Oh, to take land.
And we tried to get further information.
They sit there with a
to
map
that,
and circle. This is
again,
mine
in
now.
Anchorage a couple weeks ago. So the question to you is, why was the report taken down? When will it be restored? And more importantly, what concrete steps is DOJ taking with the Department of Others and others to implement the recommendations? We don't want the work of this really important commission to just
What
kinda
has
sit
DOJ done for you
and be
lately? You
ignored.
pay for it.
Yeah,
Shouldn't
so
you know what
I
they do to
don't have
improve
an
your
answer as to
life?
why it was taken down, but I will get back to you promptly. I will
Oh,
tell you-
they
appreciate that,
removed the
yeah.
bad
And-
people.
And your big picture question.
They remove your bad
we are on the
relatives
same
and give you
page
a
when it
better
comes
and
to,
give you a good substitute.
to tribal justice and the work that we have to do with our Native American community.
That's a
and making
mighty
sure that we're
fine
getting
dinner
the
plate. That's a mighty
resources
fine
of law
family
enforcement.
dinner.
I visited.
I sure would
two
like
so
some.
far as the
You know it's a
Deputy
sin
General.
not to feed
My
a
staff
hungry
has
man
gone
like
to
me.
multiples to Northern
That guy was
Dakotas,
rude. He need to
Oklahoma.
go. He need to go
And
be
we'll
corrected and held
continue to do that.
accountable.
I think that at the end of the day, it is a funding and training issue that is our responsibility, and I recognize that, and it's a priority.
Well, and we've seen positive signals in the first Trump administration. That was when Operation Lady Justice was stood up. I think that is good. We need to continue on that. You've put good people on task to this, but this is where it gets confusing, because when you have a public-facing website that helps people navigate through some of the reporting and the lack of data, that's where we could use a little help. So if you can get back with me.
Yeah,
on that, I'd
websites.
appreciate it.
Notice the website. They're
Thank you,
referring to
Mr.
it that something disappeared off the website.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Attorney General, for being here. As you alluded to in your opening statement, there is an acute staffing shortage at the Bureau of Prisons. At FCI Berlin in New Hampshire, staffing levels have dropped to 58% of authorized levels. And that's at a time when correctional officers are being asked to take on added duties where they have detainees being sent to our federal prison, and the retention incentives have dropped significantly. So, as you point out, the Bureau received an additional $3 billion in the reconciliation bill to address staffing issues. And you're asking for additional funding, which I appreciate. But how do you plan to use those supplemental funds to address recruitment and detention of staff at facilities like FCI Berlin?
Thank you for that question. It is a crisis, and the crisis on staffing is twofold. One is we're not paying them enough, and they can walk across the street to county jails and make more money. And two, we're not paying them enough. There's shortages, so they're required to work overtime. They're
Constitution of the
required
United
to
States.
actually
I understand the problem.
Magna
Can you
Carta,
explain what you're
Mayflower
gonna do to address it?
Compact,
We're doing both. I mean,
Declaration
we're
of Rights,
addressing the
Declaration of
compensation,
Independence,
and we've already,
Articles of
worked with
Confederation,
Director Marshall over the past several months
Constitution
to
of the
give
State
some
of
retention
California.
money to officers who are staying.
Last
but we have
amended
to pay
November
them
7,
more, and we have to
2000.
make it worthwhile for them to
Act for the
stay.
admission of
And
California
only
into
way to
the
do that is
Union.
with money. The only way to
Well,
do that
I
is
can,
California
I can tell you that FCI
Legislature
Berlin has
Assembly,
not seen that money yet, and it's
2001,
gonna be critical to get
2002.
it out.
What's that
Let me
mean?
Change to another topic, because we have a new DEA drug lab in Londonderry, New Hampshire. I'm very pleased that we've got that.
They have a new
regional
drug enforcement.
lab. I
Drug
worked
enforcement
hard,
agency in their
to
drug
try and
lab.
Support the effort to get it there. But I'm concerned now that DEA doesn't have the personnel that they need in order to fully operate it. And when we raised this at
Magna
hearings,
Carta,
both in the
Magna
House
Carta,
and Senate,
page 3.
with DEA, what they told us was that
I didn't even read.
DOJ has
I've been flipping
routinely
through this. I thought this
denied
was
its
just the
request for greater allocations
Constitution of the United States of
personnel,
America and the Constitution of the
meaning
State of
that
California.
They're going to have difficulties hiring the sufficient personnel they need to fully operate this new lab. So, can you commit that you will ensure that the personnel that are needed to operate the lab are able to be hired?
Yes, and our budget asks for that funding, and I agree with you, Senator, that it's crucial to have that. And that there's
Articles of
shortages.
Confederation were ratified by states as follows.
Yes. Let me weigh in on
Oh, then again, who signed?
with Senator Collins and Senator Murkowski and their concerns about the Office of Violence Against Women and the grants. I don't support the cut of 25% for that budget. But we have a greater issue because my staff has heard from organizations.
The Senate
in
of the
New
United
Hampshire
States shall be
working on
composed of
domestic
2
violence
senators from each
concerns
state,
that the department
chosen by the
is
legislature
continuing to
thereof
hold
for 6 years,
fiscal
and
year
each senator shall have
25
one
funding
vote.
for the office. And for some of these organizations, they had their grants canceled early in 2025. This disruption has caused those organizations to scale back, to start laying off staff, which limits their ability to help survivors. So when is the department going to make available the fiscal year 25 and 26 grant funds that have already been approved by Congress?
So the NOFOs for 2 of the 3 agencies are all out and back. There's one NOFO that's
Yeah, it's a
pending
good thing
for
this is on our
25 that we
website.
expect to get out any day now, and then we'll start working on 26. And so it's done on a rolling basis, and we're working every day very hard to get that money out. As far as grants that were canceled, I believe 330 some were canceled, just about 5 or 6% of the overall grants awarded for various reasons. But
Grants for various reasons. For people who, well, what is a job these days? What is a job? Powers are vested in the Senate and House. Astrophy. Wait, Congress astrophy. Legislative Department astrophy. 4 astrophies, only 1 astrophy. Headings and paragraph numbers have been inserted to assist the reader and are not to be construed as a part of the Constitution. The original Constitution contains only article and section numbers. The modern style of capitalization has been used in the printing of this edition, and obsolete spelling of such words as choose, C-H-U-S-E, and control, C-O-N-T-R-O-U-L, has been changed to conform to the modern spelling prescribed by Webster's Dictionary. We have followed the text of the United States Constitution, 1787 Bicentennial Edition, 1987, prepared by the Commission on the Bicentennial of the United States Constitution. Interesting. Amendment 3, Billeting of Soldiers. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Now, 2 ways. Can you take a stranger, and put them in a house to monitor them? Like place a soldier in the house to monitor the activities? Or you have too many homeless sons. Equal suffrage. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. The women can suffer just as much. As when Elizabeth Warren, she had a really good presentation, a philosophical economic thing about money as time. Money is time. The men spend their time making money. Back in the good old days, when her man didn't have to work so hard to support her and keep her lifestyle, and then she had to go to work too.
the highest number of cases that we have seen in a single year in yours.
What did the women vote for? They voted for the men to work more harder.
In the case backlog, and hopefully that's something that we can continue. I saw in your budget that you increased this by 12%. I wanted to talk, is that going to help you continue on eliminating this backlog, improve efficiencies and operations of these immigration courts? And then also on that, how does the budget request support efforts to actually modernize this process, making sure that we're not only using the current system, but we're looking at how can we be more efficient in the future?
Yeah, how many
Yes,
apps can we
thank you,
get?
Senator.
Can we get some grants for apps?
In reverse order, we have asked for $37 million to modernize the IT programs that the immigration courts use. That in and of itself will create efficiencies that will help us in ways that should have happened years and years ago and it didn't. We're also asking for more money because we need more judges. And the big beautiful bill gave us authority to hire a bunch of immigration judges, and we're hiring a ton. We have a graduation tomorrow, the largest graduation of immigration judges in many, many years, if not history. And we're continuing to try to find good judges that will work hard. And the budget also, a judge needs staff. So a judge needs clerks to help process the cases. We have almost 500,000 cases were processed last year. That's extraordinary. And we're getting into the backlog. But when you have something like 4 million immigration cases, 4 million immigration cases backed up, even if you cut it down by 1 million a year, you're still looking at 3 or 4 years to catch up. But we're very focused on doing that. We tell our new judges they're going to be working harder than they've ever worked in their lives, and we expect that. And so this budget
Sounds like my brother's
really
work.
addressing that. The IT
Every time he got a
problem and
promotion,
staffing challenge that we have.
They never hired anybody to fill in his old job.
Changing gears
He just
a
did
little
his
bit,
job, then his boss's job.
obviously, we are so proud to see the crackdown on crime across the country, lowest murder rate that we have seen, the significant just actually getting back to the mission of getting the bad guys and putting criminals behind bars. I talked to Director Patel about this last week, but there's great work being done by the FBI and DOJ in my home state. Operation Southern Star in Montgomery has been significant. That's where I live. We appreciate that effort. I know that communities across the country appreciate the work that you're doing. Can you discuss how this request increase in resources that you have
Well, my mouth
in
ain't
this
too
budget
sweet.
is going
It's
to
like
allow
an
us to build
ashtray.
on the current successes and enhance cooperation with state and
Some of the
local
product I think
partners
is poisoned.
across the country so that we can do more of what we've seen in Montgomery over the Operation Southern Star.
Yes. So
You talk
there's
about
nothing
setting
more
bad
important
examples, and
than our
yet,
state and local partnerships when it
boy,
comes
so much
to
of
combating
violence on the
crime.
television.
Nearly every violent criminal that's arrested by the feds are assisted by a cop or a detective or a trooper in that case. And so when we talk about the work that the federal government and the FBI and DEA and Marshals and ATF and HSI have done over the past year, we are really talking about the work that they did partnering with the state and local. So our
I'm a
budget
fan of
reflects
Island
that.
Files
We
or
want $2.9 billion
What's
for
that?
state and local
Bismillah?
grants. That's money that's going to go to law enforcement to combat violent
You're talking
crime.
porn.
$12 billion for our budget for violent crime. And you said that, but I want to make sure I'm giving props to the great men and women of law enforcement in our country. It worked. I mean, we did see meaningful reductions in violent crime, which means everybody's streets are safer than they were a year and a half ago. So.
Well, as someone who is raising two
As someone who's
teenagers,
watched it, how
wants
can you
these
condemn it as
streets to be
evil?
safer, particularly the ones
Like good sex ed.
where all these families are trying to build their lives. We say.
Oh, that's a pretty cross.
Last question. I know that the
I've
budget.
noticed lots of people wearing.
also,
Oh my goodness.
is going to stand up the National Fraud Enforcement Division. I know that there's been a lot of misnomers about that out there. It is important we make sure that taxpayer dollars are used judiciously and the people who do not do that are held accountable. Can you talk about some of the work that the division has been doing and how the funding will allow DOJ to continue protecting Americans and their hard-earned tax dollars?
Yes, so we asked for $30 million because we need lawyers to help build this new division up. And what we've done
Is
already,
it
and you've
different
seen it
than
in
the
news,
$37 million?
in Minnesota and other locations, really everywhere. Minnesota's been a focus, but in every state, the National Fraud Division has an AUSA assigned to that division now. And their goal
Let's
is
see.
very simple.
I talked to one of the
criminals
CERS
stealing
workers out,
That's
CERS
it.
workers out
And
here.
So that comes in.
They
there
said that,
healthcare, but it comes in a lot of different places. And I expect
said the
that
average
everybody
wage
in this body will be
from
very
somebody who has
satisfied with the
laborers
work
is
when I get
$7,800
back
a
next
month.
time, because
Excellent.
it's doing great work.
Americans
$7,800
are not
a
being
year.
held accountable, so
Although
we hope that
changing
we see some
definitions of
people,
things.
actually prosecuted for these crimes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Senator Merkley.
Thank you,
So
Madam Chair.
if somebody
And
made
Senator Murray, do you?
that's
do you want
128
to jump
years
in
of
first?
work.
Okay. Thank you. Acting
For
Attorney
somebody
General.
with
So the
$7,800
budget has
a year
$500 million cut
to
the
make
COPS grants. Those
$1 million,
grants are certainly
that's
important to our local law
128
enforcement,
years.
for staff, for equipment,
So
for
let's times that
investigations.
by 30.
Is there any particular reason that you think the police department spends less money now
3,846
than they
years of
did
labor.
before? And would you be supportive if we advocate for more funding rather than less?
So, local law enforcement needs all the money we can give them. I agree with that very much. And whether I would be supportive of more money that you all come together for local law enforcement. Yeah, yes, I will. I mean, look, this budget.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
There is a bill called the Stop Institutional Child Abuse Act that senators on both sides of the aisle supported, including Senators Tuberville and Cornyn. And this is
Who would
about
oppose that?
the troubled teen industry, where there are basically all kinds of fairly unregulated, without oversight companies that say, hey, you send your teen to us and we'll get them on the right path. This institutional care often results in institutional abuse.
Yes, it's
And
a
what we
lifetime.
did
It's
when we passed and
it's
funded that
turns them
bill, we
into
both authorized it
institutional
and then
people.
We funded it. Was to have the National
Instead of
Academies
parents
Science
controlling
and
them,
Studies.
he
There's
controls them.
50,000 kids that are in these institutional settings each year. They're often taken
See, what I've
away
noticed
in the
is
middle
it's
of
the
night
it's
under
the it's the
arrangements
people who
with
didn't have
parents.
children.
Parents think they're sending their kids to
The
get
people who
help,
didn't have
but
children
often
are the
they're
ones
sending
pushing
their
us the
kids into
most.
abuse. Will you take a look at this issue and just kind of track the national academies as they proceed to study this, and if there are ways that we can reduce abuse, help us find that path.
Yes, of course.
Thank you. To follow up, you noted that it would be up to the 5 commissioners that you appoint to determine whether there are any guidelines. Will you encourage the folks that you select to ensure that folks who were convicted of violent acts against police officers do not get compensation from this fund?
Well, I expect they will.
Violent acts
of
against
establishing
police
guidelines. The
officers.
commissioners will establish guidelines, and so
Will,
I
will
fully,
you encourage them to have a guideline that says those who have been convicted of violent acts against police officers are not eligible?
I will definitely encourage the commissioners to take everything into account when determining who should get compensation.
But why not this specific issue of violent acts, convicted of violent acts against police officers? Do you feel they should get compensation after being convicted of violent acts?
You mean
My
that the
feelings
precedents?
don't matter, Senator. In my mind,
This is the states things. See, it's like there have been so many multi-million dollar. What was it? $35 million that the city of LA paid that guy who fought back against the cops. Makes you wonder about the Keystone Cops. Keystone Cops, Keystone Pipeline. It's a wild and crazy history. I have a little history a calendar, a day planner from Ventura County. It's like on the in 1976, and it talks about industrialism. Oh, post Reconstruction, post Civil War, all that industrialism, all those factories over on the East Coast, moving down here to the West Coast. It's Mordor. That's the problem. My family, my dad is king. Very poor king. Lamau, all the Republican states like West Virginia and Ohio are going broke. I'm sure your poor base is not going to be voting for Republicans, eh? Yes, that's right. Yeah. like I'm not a member of a family. I'm a Republican. That's what happened in my family. The Democrats, because my dad was a registered Democrat. The Republicans stopped inviting us to their parties. They didn't want us ruining their good time with talking about our poverty. Talk about working for less and less so you can have more and more. They can change labels. You can change anything. It's these. These are parasites in the family. My brother was talking about how he alienated all my cousins with my words and action and burnt bridges and stuff. And like, Jeff, I don't know any cousins other than a handful of them. And I've run into a few of them. They're not doing too well either. It's not the cousins. It's the swinging aunts and uncles. Oh, yeah. They just want young people to have sex with. As if that's all there is in life. So book reviews, we could talk about Ryan Talbert's Eye of Eurydice. I talked about Rick Chianti, whatever his name is, author Rick's Facade of Shadows enough. Right now I'm reading Alexandra Bracken's Lore. Very slow, it's hard for me to concentrate. Well, I like it. It's based on Greek mythology. What happens if the hunters go and they start getting other gods? Not Ares, not Athena, not the Greek ones. What if they go to other countries? I remember when I went away from a tax accountant. I didn't make enough. I liked it 1040 easy. Oh, I made less than 30,000, which for people who make 7,000, that's like what? 4 times as much. And so I used the 1040 easy. I didn't have write-offs. Didn't have investments. 401ks. Yet even those. I've met one real sovereign man in my life. We were doing temp jobs, serving banquets at a big hotels. He explained it. So he surrendered his social security number. You surrendered your social security number? He says, yeah, you don't legally have to have a social security number. Your taxpayer ID number. You don't have to have a social security number. That's another 12% in taxes. 6% from the employee, 6% from the employer. That way, you can have a little retirement someday. Someday. Wonder how it's working out for my uncles. Another true believers in the system.
Was signed into law, and this authorized law enforcement agencies to use those COPS grants for recruitment and retention activities. It required a study. The study came out, not surprisingly, it identified a relationship between local law enforcement staffing.
What do you do? One of my friend's wives, she got into the doula community where they wanted home births instead of the hospitals. Hospitals used to be like $26,000 to have a baby. They certified it. It seemed really good at the time because then you have like proof of your identity, proof of your birth, proof of your existence. Except, well, now people just, mine are stolen. What do we do? I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart enough to give answers. I'm ignorant in most things. Trump 28, people demand it. What if local communities get power? Power to say, no, you can't cut down those trees. Where are you from? See, they just roll through, wipe out the resources, and go on to their next victims. I suppose I used to be part of that party. What if you own it? What if you don't have to rent it? Mike Jones 69696 talking about price of rent. But what if you don't have to pay rent? What if you don't have to find money? Well, I suppose there's was it Mises.org or LouRockwell.com? Maybe it's Mises.com. There are these libertarian websites, Austrian economics. There's even debate among libertarians. There's somebody who wrote the benefits of renting, because then you can just move around wherever the jobs are. You just move. You don't have to worry about moving furniture or anything like that. But what if some people want to have a home base? We had one home base. We used to have two. I used to have two relatives that had houses. Now I think it's zero now. I think it's zero. I think my entire family. I'm renting a place that nobody else wanted. So if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. Mayor Mayo 5740. Huh. What about the Brady Bunch? What about the Trump family as a big foster acting family? Because that's what we want to vote for. All these politicians with their families. It's a reflection. It's like Mad Men. Would you vote for the town drunk? So would you vote for Blarney? Well, if I knew him. However, it's like this rotating cast of politicians. That way you never know who to blame. You talk about the bureaucracy. See, I was a deputy court clerk, and I started going to the county registrar's office. Those people behind the desk, they have our identity information. I have a big stack of papers here where they vouch for each other's identity. You had 100 years of war. 100 years of young men, old men going off. Constantly getting replaced. And now you have a lot of people say, no, I won't go. It's like a Country Joe McDonald song. This guy gets money for every young man he sends to... Oh yeah, he doesn't have to compete. So too poor to afford a doctor. Do you think the poor people got healthier? That the rich people just getting constantly pecked to death? Constant demands for allowance. We've had addiction in our family. It's hard. It's painful. So there were street drugs. Triggered by numbers like what? Zero? They're talking millions of dollars. show us the books. Show us the books. Is there millions of dollars to be given away? More borrowing. Here, I'll give you that person's house. Just give me this, and then you can have his house. I'll send my group out there to harass and just we'll stand there. We'll make mocking noises. We're really good at it. We're really good at driving people out of their homes. And then we'll follow them because it's pretty shitty living with people like me. Is when you have a house of people who's gonna work. Somebody do the dishes. Somebody clean my dishes. Whose job is it to clean bathroom?
I just have to tell you, this is corruption that has never been more blatant or more widespread. What is happening is you write the check, Trump and his cronies cash it, American taxpayers, who are already being whacked with high prices, are going to foot the bill. That's what we are seeing today, and that is what many of us are really, really angry about. So let me move to another topic.
The American taxpayers are going to foot the bill for what? Their own food?
Is sending the message that if you're wealthy, if you're powerful, if you are well connected, you won't be held accountable.
This is your senator. This is a senator talking about wealthy and powerful people.
Act and DOJ finally began to release the files. Your department exposed survivors' names, their sensitive personal information, and even photos, while redacting names of alleged perpetrators of those crimes. The message that sends is this Department of Justice worked harder to protect the privacy of potential child abusers than the survivors. Your predecessor refused to apologize to those victims, but I want to give you the same opportunity to apologize for the way the department handled the release of these documents. Will you apologize to the survivors?
When the president passed the Epstein Transparency Act, that was the
Pardon
only
me?
time when the president
Survivors
signed
of what?
the Transparency Act. That was when we were
Apologize to
legally
survivors
allowed to
of
release
what?
the files. Prior to the passage,
Hey, Drew!
which you all passed, I agree.
That
Hey,
is
Drew
not
March.
the question I'm asking.
You really got triggered.
You asked 5 or 6 questions. I'm answering them in order. That
No,
was one of the questions you
the
asked.
question I want you to answer is, will you apologize to the victims whose names, sensitive personal information,
Oh.
and even nude photos were not redacted?
Oh,
by your
nude
department?
photos.
Will you
Of
apologize
course,
to them?
that was. We
Can
never
I
want to
hear
release
today?
a single
That
victim's
is what they
name.
are hearing
But can I
and
answer
want
the
to
question,
hear.
please? Is
I'm
it fair?
asking if you'll apologize.
So I just said yes, but I would like an explanation to be given to that. What this act did is it required us to review over 6 million pieces of paper. in a
Oh,
very
the
short period of
victims
time.
of slavery.
So 0.001%.
The
we made
victims of
mistakes,
slavery.
and we owned
They're
up to it.
perfectly
And
safe.
The second that a victim or their lawyer told us that we made a mistake,
They're perfectly
we pulled
safe.
that document down, and we put lawyers 24/7 in being responsive to victims and their lawyers to make sure that we fixed every single problem. And so yes,
I
mistakes
hear
were-
your anger.
I'm not
and I
angry.
will
No, I'm not
tell you-
angry.
I hear
I'm
your
just
anger,
making sure
and I
it's
will tell you
understood
who's really
that
angry is
we
people who
matter.
have their
That-
nude photos released. I just want to hear you say, I apologize to those victims.
So, as I just said, of course, any time we release a victim's name that shouldn't be released, we have failed as a department.
They talk
of
about
Justice.
internet?
So we have to do everything that we can.
How
to
many
not fail.
nudes are
Well,
leaked on the
I
internet?
haven't heard the words, I apologize.
I'm trying to give you an
those
explanation.
Did you
of what
get? Are your
happened. I
nudes
don't
on
think you're
there?
really interested in that.
Hey, lady.
I am-
Hey, lady. Did you send him? Did you send him
And I
some
know
milk
that Senator
pics?
Van Hollen raises, but I want to ask you, will you personally commit to meeting with the survivors? I have heard from them personally that DOJ refused to meet them, and I'm asking about you. I'm asking about the Justice Department reaching out
Mm-hmm.
to them to be heard, not waiting for them to navigate a legal system that has obviously
fail army.
repeatedly failed them so far.
Can I answer?
Yeah, will you reach out to them?
So, as we have said repeatedly, of course,
The
any
fatal
lawyer-
F
now,
word.
if a victim has a lawyer, I'm not allowed to reach out to the victim directly. You know that. But any lawyer can reach out to the Department of Justice. They have, and I've met with many victims and their lawyers, as has the FBI, as has the SDNY.
Words hurt.
We will always always meet with victims counsel. Any victim or
We'll
their
always
lawyer can
meet with
come forward to the
victim counsel.
FBI
With these
at
women,
any time.
and I've met with them, and I know Senator Van Hollen has, and so many others. They
Looking
are
for
personally
demonization
so
when that
feeling
works.
abused again and again and again by what happened
For
to them
it too.
originally, and now what.
Oh,
what's happening.
yeah, that drives
I am
t-shirts.
saying to you, as a human being, who don't make them navigate a system that is impossible to navigate, that's already abused them. Reach out and ask to meet
So
with
wait,
them.
you're
That is
asking
all
me
I'm
to
asking.
call, you want me to personally call the victims? Is that
I
what
can
you're asking
help
me to
you
do?
reach them.
Oh, that would be great. Yes, because we have said
And
from
you
day
will meet
one,
with them if
of
I reach
course,
out to them.
there have been members that have done that. And we immediately reach out to the victims or their lawyers when the lawyers want,
Well,
and they say they want to do
We
it.
will follow up.
Oh,
on
did the
that. Thank
victims
you
know
very
they
much.
have lawyers? This is the thing.
Let me
See,
ask a
lawyers can
question.
actually initiate lawsuits on behalf of people that they believe have been harmed.
And then we'll have a conclusion of the hearing. I want to. Oh yes, and Senator Gillibrand, excuse me for my lack of peripheral vision. We'll make certain, Senator Gillibrand, that you are called on. General, worried about staffing and operational strains at the Bureau of Prisons.
I know there's a high society, there's
This
a low
committee, this
society.
subcommittee, and our full committee
There's
has
some
tried
middle
to
class,
in
but do you know
last
the
several years,
problem
and
is?
there was money in the reconciliation bill, $5 billion to support recruitment and retention efforts to address the BOP's maintenance backlog. In correctional facilities in Kansas, and we have certainly major federal and lots of state correctional facilities, but officers, wardens, stakeholders continue to hear concerns about staffing shortages, aging infrastructure, deferred maintenance, officer retention, long-term strain placed on both
Think about
personnel
it.
and inmates.
Think about it.
What can you
The
tell me
prison
about this budget,
as a corporation.
request, and can you help me understand the circumstances you see at the Bureau of Prisons in this regard?
So, thank you, Senator. We were given a broken agency when we took over. Not enough money. Morale was very low, and many of the prisons needed serious repairs. And
Yeah,
so
yeah, and I'm supposed to
the
send my
president's
brother to
budget this
prison.
year tries to
Hey
rectify
Jeff, who
a
has
lot of that.
who has a bigger list of
The
unprosecuted
vacancy
crimes?
rate is still 20% for corrections officers. I talked about this earlier. That has to do with retention. It has to do with how much we're paying them, and
War
creating an
crimes,
environment
Jeff?
at the BOP that they want to work at. And so that's something we have to work on. We have some of the investments.
Say I
we
fought
wanna
for
make,
your right to smoke
$450
weed,
million to
and all of a
protect the
sudden you
vacancy
come
rate
back at me, huh?
And start paying some of our
It's like the
corrections
Django.
officers more.
It's like being shot in the head by
And
Django.
also a lot of money to make repairs. And so these are just safety repairs, but also structural repairs at prisons, so that again,
It
makes
requires
sure
it
inmates
requires
are
work,
protected and
requires
are
labor.
safe, and that we're safe from them, and also creates an environment that's safe for the staff and the corrections officers that are working there. And so it's a big number, but it's extraordinarily important.
As recently as yesterday, General, I continued to hear from
Vote
state
purple,
and local
vote
law
violet.
enforcement agencies about their desire.
Blue. What
therefore
plant?
their
What
demand for
plants?
Training.
Where do these dyes come from?
Drones and counter UAS systems. We have Kansas City is a FIFA site, but that demand is significant. And can you tell me how the
Is a
department
FIFA
working
site?
with the FBI to address this issue? And I think FIFA is a significant component of it. But with the prevalence of UAVs, I think it's just a broadly. An
Yes,
issue
now
that
it's high
needs to
in
be
Kansas, the World
Yes,
Cup.
So we're training. The FBI is training a ton of state and locals every day, and we're on the clock because of FIFA. But we're also doing it beyond FIFA because the UAS is
All roads lead to
are a big
Kansas,
problem
right?
In every single state in this country, and so we have ATF also that a certain portion of ATF also helps with the training as well at the FBI facility. And we're going to continue to do that, meaning we're going to continue to offer and provide training to state and locals. We're also asking for money in our budget to help shore that up a little bit so that we can continue to not only offer training, but have a defense to the U.S.
I would suggest that the FBI training center is over capacity, needs more officers and capabilities. And if the Department of Justice is interested in pursuing that, I'd be interested in trying to be helpful.
FBI,
I'm interested in working with you, Senator.
Thank you.
got advice.
Grant administration, I think things are getting better, but the Department of Justice, particularly in its grants to local law enforcement, it's been a really slow process this year in getting the money out the door. Congress shut down. The list is long for reasons that could be the case. But I want to give you the opportunity to tell me that you are now positioned to see that local law enforcement in particular, but grants in general, and those grants exceed just local law enforcement. It's other community grants, mentoring grants. I want to make sure that you believe you're now positioned in terms of staffing and administrative abilities to make that process work better.
We are working on that, and you're right. It's been slow. We now have all the 25s out except for maybe one. We're starting on 26 now.
One program or one grant?
One grant.
One grant.
One. I could be off a couple of grants, but we're mostly finished with that process. You're right. It didn't. We didn't get the number from you guys till January, late January, so we had a late start. And we're going to turn to 26 now and get as much done as we can. As you know, they're distributed on a rolling basis, so it's not as if there's no money and then a ton of money. So we're trying to get the wheels turning as quickly as we can to get money out.
Thank you. Senator Reed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Blanche, how many taxpayers' returns were leaked by the IRS contractor in the 2020 breach?
How many taxpayers, excuse me?
How many taxpayers' returns were leaked by the IRS contractor in the 2020 breach?
I don't know the exact amount, but a lot.
405,427. One of them was Donald Trump. Correct? One of them was Donald Trump, correct?
It was Donald Trump and his family or others, correct.
Right. And Donald Trump was president at the time.
Correct.
So it was his IRS department that allowed this breach of privacy, correct?
It was a criminal who worked in the IRS, yes.
Well, he was hired under Trump's admin. This is one of the Trump.
Well, there was a criminal breach that led to this, yes.
Very good. How many of these 400,000 people have received monetary reimbursement for the breach?
I don't think any have, including the president.
No, they haven't. But you've authorized the president to agree the president should have reimbursement, correct?
We settled the case. No, there's no reimbursement to President Trump.
Well, that's
filed a suit,
interesting.
Senator, but
So President Trump, you're going to assure us President Trump and his family will get no proceeds from this?
Correct. He will not.
He will not get. His family will not get.
Correct.
And who will direct the distribution of these? Who gets the money?
From the victims fund?
Yeah.
Well, there'll be a commission of 5 individuals that will be set up, and they will take in requests and claims and decide whether to do anything from Mission
Who will
Apollo.
name the commissioners?
I will. Or the Attorney General, whoever the Attorney General is.
The Attorney General. Okay.
Sorry, just to correct. And one of them will be done in consultation with leadership of this body.
Consultation. Well, that's good. But when he first announced this suit on January 30th, he said, I think what we'll do is
So you kept me in a bubble, huh?
where I'll give the money to charity. I'm talking about the American Cancer Society. I would say establish and respect.
Talk about women with the army of
will you
husbands.
fulfill the president's wish that it goes to respected charities?
I'm aware that he put that in or said that, but that's not ultimately what the settlement calls for.
Well, the settlement was negotiated
To
between
Sherry.
his lawyers and
Hey,
the
Sherry.
Department of Justice, correct?
Correct.
So his lawyers did not urge that.
Is it
they
that
adopt
porn?
the president's
You know, your porn destroyed my
issue of
brother.
Giving it to a respectable charity.
I am confident his lawyers urged the president's desires. Obviously, there's not a charity.
The order that you signed yesterday.
Hey, you look like one of those guys. You related those guys on the Medford channel?
Secretary of Treasury has certified the.
They want to help children.
Correct.
Is it a coincidence that the General Counsel of the Department of Treasury resigned yesterday?
I don't know if it's a coincidence.
Have you looked, checked?
Have I checked?
Yeah.
I have not. As to why he resigned?
It just seems to be very coincidental that a high-ranking member of the Department of Treasury, Senate confirmed, would resign the day that the Treasury Department was required essentially to certify these payments.
Is that a Timex?
Well, I believe that.
Oh my goodness, like it's one of those
signed the
PX
settlement
Timexes.
as well. But yes.
So you were
I
over
don't know. I
there.
can't speak to why he resigned, Senator.
Well, this all seems to be an obvious.
Are you one of the guys who refused to fill a sandbag?
By the president, he negotiated essentially with himself, You're his appointee. The IRS are his appointees. He's the plaintiff. And the American people, I don't think, are surprised that suddenly all this money is going to his friends or people that he in his orbit. Will you ensure that none of this money goes to
Nepotism.
anyone convicted on the January 6th attack on the Congress?
Well, the
It's very
commission
interesting
will
about
determine
nepotism has
who
been the
is
order of the
eligible to
world
receive
for
the
a
money.
while.
And who are the
I
commissioners?
mean, the order of the
They're not
world.
named yet.
Who will name them?
I will, or the Attorney General will. It's not me.
So, with the suggestion of the President of the United States,
Excuse me.
with the suggestion of the President of the United States, your boss.
I do not make suggestions. I will.
No.
Commission.
He will make suggestions to you.
I have no idea if he will or not. I really don't. I have no idea if he will or not.
I'm
What, the
I would be
quarterlies?
shocked if he didn't tell you exactly who to put on, and I'd be more shocked if you did not put them on. This is a travesty of the law in the United States and the Constitution. You had an opportunity to go down and talk to Ghislaine Maxwell,
Where's this guy?
and then a few days later she was transferred from a high security prison to a
I really should be looking
very
at where these
comfortable-
senators are from.
That's not
very
true.
comfortable.
It's just not true. She was not in a high security prison. She was transferred from a low security prison to a low security prison. I mean, you're looking at me like that's verifiable.
Well, I don't think at the other prison she had her own room. She had access to a private shower. She could have pet therapy, and
I don't know if any of that is true. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just
it is true, and you should know it, Mr. Attorney
I should know
General.
that.
You
whether,
should know.
whether an inmate has access to.
You
her
say
own
Mr.
shower.
Visitor?
This is a person of extra special interest to the President of the United States. He's known her. Why did he send you down to talk
He
to her?
didn't send me. I went. What do you mean? You think President Trump called and asked me to go interview a witness in federal prison?
Yes,
Honestly,
I do, frankly.
Well,
Because you know
well,
why?
he didn't.
Because the
He didn't.
deal was in. He
I mean, you
needed
could say
somebody
that,
he
but
could
you
rely.
want the truth.
he needed
That's a
somebody to
shiny
rely
ring.
upon to talk to her and say, what would she say if she was asked about Jeffrey Epstein? And you were the perfect choice. And you went down there, and suddenly, shazam, she's out of what is a more confining situation
Every
into
word-
a much more relaxed federal prison.
Every word that I asked her is recorded and available to you to review. If there's criticisms of the question that I asked her, go ahead and make them. But
Well-
the president did not have anything to do with my choice to go interview Ms. Maxwell. If I wouldn't have went and a career would have went, you would have said, why didn't you go yourself? Just like you expect me to know whether she has access to her own shower.
You
So I
should.
did go.
Everyone in the United States who reads the newspapers know that. I guess you don't, read things like that. This whole hearing, I think, is exposing something, which is, to me, very frightening. You're a very gifted lawyer. But from my perspective, you have very little faith to the Constitution and the people of America, and you're the president's consigliere.
Your perspective is completely wrong, Senator.
Well,
Respectfully.
I think the facts will prove me right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Blanch, last May, my staff at Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee released a report documenting that the inspectors general that President Trump fired had together, collectively, had uncovered billions of dollars in fraud, waste, and abuse. We oversee
It's time for me to hit the
IGs
road.
and believe that they're
And try to maintain my
important
sanity and
to
keep my
hold,
routine.
government, accountable.
As unhealthy as it
Needs
is.
to be done,
I have
for the
7
American
days of
people to have
health.
trust and confidence
Feel
in
really
what
good. I
we
can
do
button
here.
my
In
pants.
fact, it was quite, I thought, striking.
At the same time.
The study showed that for every dollar
Somebody
that
called
we
me. Somebody said I
spend,
look like
on
that movie
IGs,
star. I'm like, what
it's been
movie star?
estimated the return on that investment is roughly 18 times what we put into the IGs. But despite the administration's purported focus on fraud,
IGs, what?
your department,
What is it?
FY27
Inspector
request
Generals?
would actually cut these IGs, their budget,
Mm-hmm.
by nearly a third. These are folks that have an 18-to-1 return on investment. Prior to being in public service, I spent 20 plus years in the investment business. If I told investors, this is an investment I'd like you to make and you're going to have an 18-to-1 return,
You sent me to
they would jump out of their
Congress?
chair in excitement and say, absolutely.
And I will-
okay,
and I
how
will
much
write a
money can I
bill.
put in to get an 18-to-1 return. So while the request, and this happens while you're requesting an increase for your
Oh,
overall
you get an
agency
18
through
you get a one
reconciliation. So you're
you
gonna
give
be
a
gaining
1-year-old and you
additional
get an
funding,
18-year-old in return?
which I would argue requires oversight as you get additional funding. That happens every government agency, not just yours. And to have a massive cut of IGs with an 18-to-1 ROI, why was that decision made, and how do you intend to have robust oversight of the department when you're cutting the folks who are responsible for that and have a brilliant track record of doing that with every administration, Democratic or Republican, before you?
So I agree the IGs are extraordinarily important. The budget that was proposed, it was developed consulting with the IGs, and so this is a budget that OMB and DOJ worked with the IG's office to come up with, and this was an agreed upon budget from them. So while not
Is
just
Corn
because you're
Pop
not,
what?
you're not giving more money and you're even taking away money doesn't
Is Corn
mean the
Pop still
conclusion you
sleeping?
reach is accurate,
Well, he's an
which is
old
it's
man,
gonna
Alfredo.
result in less work or less return on our investment.
Oh, the old
Well, that
people
makes
don't
no
have a right to
sense, of
sleep
course.
in.
So
Alfredo,
if you have
effect.
1/3 fewer folks working.
Yeah, they want the old people.
Granted, maybe they're incredibly
think
more
that's
productive, but
I'm not talking
it's really clear with an 18-to-1.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Investing as your budget is growing, you're going to have that kind of return, and it makes no sense to do that. Why? There's no financial sense to do it. So is there another reason you just don't want IGs on the job?
As I just said, the IGs themselves work with OMB and DOJ to develop this budget in a way that made them
Akristra
feel that
Dala.
they could get their job done.
There's
So,
Nate.
it
For every
wasn't
battleship
like,
filled with
we've got a
a
budget
Heg
for you,
set,
you can either take this
we
or
have a
you're gonna
cruise
get a
ship
lot
with
less.
Trump.
I wasn't part of the conversation. but
Interesting.
I'm sure
I can't imagine IGs are going to.
Because I don't see Hegseth on any ships.
We have an 18-to-1 return, and we're the guardian to make sure that people can trust what happens in federal government, and it makes no sense to me to
Right.
have that.
It makes no sense that we don't have any submarine
It speaks
tenders.
volumes of
It's too dangerous now.
what this administration is really focused on, and it's not about reducing waste, fraud, and abuse. You don't do that by decimating the IG Corps. Certainly saw him fire a number of IGs earlier and have serious concerns. Mr. Blanche, the president also signed an executive order on March 31 directing the Department
All right.
of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security,
You know where this channel
and the
is.
Postal Service to take a series of actions related to federal elections, including the creation of a federal citizenship list and new rules on mail ballot
Oh,
distribution.
citizenship
That
list.
order, is right
Have we had
now
our
being
citizenship? What they're
challenged,
redoing who's a
in federal
citizen?
court, 'cause these are state
Of
functions.
course they are.